feels it better suits their needs. And I dare say Drow is still in the pool for Na'Vi.
Okay, I mean, it's an interesting point. I mean, looking at the bans from both sides, anything kind of striking out to you as an interesting point to mention?
Well, the Enchantress one isn't really unusual, but it's something that we don't see a whole heck of a lot. I think it's more just because they were looking at the lanes, and they just wanted to make sure that if NiP go aggressive, Enchantress and Chen are two of those early game, very disruptive heroes that can kind of stop what NiP want to do to the safe lane of Na'Vi, but they just pick up an Ancient Apparition with their Shaker and their Lesh. So again, could be offlane Shaker, could be support in the tri-lane as well. I'm kind of leaning maybe more towards picking at least another stunning hero, and yeah, we're gonna get to see the Axe here, handled by Jonas.
Absolutely, Jonas, I'm fan, Axe and Dark. I mean, they're the two heroes that kind of come to mind that I want to see him play. You know, the big playmakers, the heroes that are going to provide us with a lot of entertainment, and I mean, there's no denying that Jonas and Axe is pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, he plays very, very consistently well. Like, that's one of the most impressive parts about some of these players is they can come in and under any circumstance, they always perform. That's probably the hardest part of Dota, right? It's just maintaining that level of consistency, and he is definitely one to watch out for if you're from the side of Na'Vi. So, looking at the last couple of picks here, Na'Vi probably going to be looking for either a support or an offlane, and potentially their 1 versus 1 hero. I'm not sure if they want to put Shaker in that tri-lane or not right now.
Okay.
Because a double stun sounds nice, but I think you kind of don't want to put Shaker in that lane, I feel. You could, though, I guess, because Fissure is such a long range that you might not never have to commit under a Tombstone. That could be what they're thinking as well, by having the Shaker be a support in that scenario. And Na'Vi are going to go ahead and just ban out the Weaver, which is obviously very good aggressively.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see indeed what NIPG pick up for errors here. But I'm really liking the draft of Na'Vi here. I mean, looking from NIP's lineup, they're going to be wanting to jumping in, looking for the fights. But Na'Vi, I mean, do you want to be jumping on top of a Requiem, an Echo Slam, an Ice Blast? They've got everything to stop the aggression that NIP are going to look for.
It's very scary. I think NiP are going to be hard-pressed to find openings, like you were mentioning. And even if you do find them, a counter initiation from Na'Vi isn't really that bad. Like, having a Fissure in of itself is great, so as long as... I'm really thinking that's going to be Sonic or Shaker, by the way. Like, I'm pretty certain of that. Because they even ban out the Winter Wyvern from NiP. So obviously you wouldn't ban that unless it was going to be... like, they're thinking the last pick is going to be support, right? Or excuse me...
yeah, NIP are thinking...
Yeah, last pick is going to be support. So it's an SP, yeah. Okay, so... The Spirit Breaker for me is very good against NiP's team because they didn't have a lot of disable up to this point. Now you have like Axe Call, you have Puck and Cask, which are a bit of a deterrent, but they needed something that was going to be able to get in the fight and just cause havoc, which I think the Funnex Spirit Breaker will be able to do pretty handily. But all in all, I think both drafts are very strong. If I had to give an edge to either of them, I would say that NiP's early game is... You got to be careful because it is strong, but if you get caught out in a bad situation against an Ancient Apparition with the Icy Touch, you can get punished very hard. So as long as NiP are cautious about how they take their fights, I think they should be able to do okay.
I mean, in terms of lanes, do you think we're going to just see safe lane tri-lanes from both sides, or do you think there's the potential for them to switch it around here? I mean, is a certain side looking for a certain lane matchup?
I think for NiP, you want to force some kind of reaction from Na'Vi. That's what they want to do with their lane. So whether that be going aggressive and trying to it's kind of tough though because their farmer is going to be melee, so maybe NiP feel okay just putting the Juggernaut and then putting the Witch Doctor in the safe lane, and maybe they just send the Undying or the Axe to the off lane on their own. It kind of depends on what they want to accomplish with this early game.
Indeed, and here we go, getting ourselves set for the second best of one, of course, of the day. This game, the winner will play up against Birdie United in the first best of 3, and the loser will go against Basically Unknown for a second chance at staying within the competition here at the DreamHack Summer Dream League LAN Finals. But here we go, the good luck have funds have been called, and it's going to be Na'Vi here, of course, heading up to this top room, and NIP themselves, well, they're heading down to the bottom, so it doesn't look like we're going to see any kind of early action unless NIP change their mind here. And well, with Vera leading the charge, they might very well look to fight level 1. Now, level 1 fights with these two drafts, who comes out on top in your ideas?
I think you don't really want to fight level 1 if you're Na'Vi.
Okay.
Like, the biggest thing is, if you're Na'Vi and you do fight at level 1, the Chilling Touch, you have to focus fire one hero. Like, you have to Chilling Touch your team and just blow them up immediately. If that doesn't happen, between Spin, Decay, and having Cask as well, I think that the level 1 maybe slightly favors NiP. But again, it comes down to execution. It looks like we might not see that engagement anyway.
Yeah, looks like NIP just going to go for the safe route. They're going to head down to the bottom and claim that one for themselves. But in terms of lanes, they have left Jonas and Fan up here. So it looks like they are going to run on the aggressive NIP.
Yeah. It's kind of expected. I thought maybe they wouldn't do this because, again, they do have the melee farming hero on the Juggernaut. But I also think that was kind of a necessary pick. Because what good is all this aggressive early game potential going to do for NIP if they don't have a hero who can at least sustain you or help you push towers, right? Because they don't have anything to help push like Enchant or Enchantress or Leshrac with Edict. They didn't have anything really that pushed up until that Juggernaut pick, so I think it was very good to be able to round out their draft. And having Healing Word against Ancient Apparition is a nice thing because it lasts quite a while. So even if you get hit with an Ice Blast, you can still heal your team back up afterwards and try to continue pushing or go for early Roches and things like that, which is another great point into picking up the Jug as they are dire side. So everything considered, I think the lanes probably going to be favoring NIP a little bit here for the early phases, but kind of underestimate the mid-game of Navi. Ancient Apparition is one of those heroes that if he doesn't really get punished, because I consider him slightly greedy to a degree, because outside the laning phase itself, he can't really gank. He kind of just sits in lanes and farms while the rest of his team does stuff. But if he manages to get like Midas or up to Aghanims, for example, it could be a long, hard game for NIP.
I mean, looking at kind of NIP's lineup that they've gone with, do you feel we'll kind of see them stick in the lanes, look to control them? Once they get the Blink Dagger on Lim and Jonas and Fan, they'll just be grouping up and pushing.
Yeah.
They won't want to kind of give Na'Vi the headroom to continue into the later portions of the game.
They do want to play hyper-aggressive.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see very standard NIP play here out of the Jonas and Fan Axe. He will likely just buy smoke as soon as he has his Blink Dagger and just try to look for fights.
I mean, we're seeing they're coming up on the side, the comfort heroes indeed. I think NIP, they're going to be very happy with the heroes they've grabbed, but at the same time, Na'Vi, they've got some very comfortable picks that I'm sure they've also got some impressive stats on. So lane-wise from Na'Vi as well, they are going to avoid the aggressive tri-lane. It's just going to be Funnick dealing with the aggression, and they're going to send the aggression themselves on the top lane with the Earthshaker, the Ice, the AA, and the Leshrac. So in terms of kind of lanes, and what looks like NIP, they're going to react to this. They send the Undying up top. Is this just going to be a dual lane situation, or do you think we might see a full lane swap round?
I think they could leave it as a dual lane for now.
Okay.
It depends on how hard Na'Vi try to go for them. If a good fissure into a stun comes out from Sonico and Havos, they could very easily get a kill with that Chilling Touch. But again, it kind of depends. These heroes are pretty beefy. It might even take 2 rounds to be able to actually secure any of those kills. And bottom lane, it will mean that Funnick is going to get more farm and more experience, of course, on top of that. So he could be the X factor for Na'Vi. Like, charging the middle lane might not always result in a kill, but it will allow Dendi to farm. Charging top could actually just kill them if they're under a tower and they don't have any creeps. So it's always going to be important for NIP to keep that in mind as well.
It's going to be interesting to see how the mid lane progresses as well. Limp on his Puck, Dendi on his Shadow Fiend. Who do you reckon will come out on top here?
The early waves are very important for any Shadow Fiend matchup, and as of right now, Dendi is actually doing a very good job at maintaining, and he's even doing quite a bit of damage to Limp, even looking for that third potential raise to try to go for the first blood. So I would say right now, Dendi is leading, not by a huge margin though.
Well, bottom lane, a bit of aggression traded between the sides there. Funnick's going to be fine, a little bit too tanky for the duo to pick off, and Seal Kid will keep himself safe as well. Snake are going to find himself an Illusion Rune. He's going to be able to do too much with that in terms of rotations and ganks. And CS-wise, Vorst on this offlane, he's having a pretty good time. Undying and Axe haven't really been able to do that much to slow down the farm of the Lesh. And I mean, Axe, he's not been able to find the CS in this lane. He's having a bit of a tough time against Na'Vi up there.
Well, the one cool thing about having him here is that even if he doesn't get the farm, trying to tower dive an Axe is always a very scary proposition, right? Because you're going to be diving into creeps that you're sending in that let him spin more. And you also have a Spear Breaker who could charge in and another melee hero on the Shaker. So if you're going for a dive, you need to be very, very careful about not giving them the opportunity to get a good taunt into just a counter kill. And then you also have Hanskin who can drop a Tombstone. So diving them is very scary, but they should be able to restrict the farm by a pretty decent amount. Now, Jonas and Fan could eventually go to jungle if he wants. He'll still get some experience, and leveling up the spin a few times, like Counter Helix, will be able to jungle a bit faster, get to his blink, maybe like 15 minutes in. It just depends. Like, if Na'Vi want to keep their lane up here for a longer period of time, I think they can afford to do that just because they have the opportunity to pull. Whereas if they were Dire and they were doing this lane, I think they would have to leave a little bit sooner because you wouldn't have the bonus experience from just being able to pull to lane when you need to. But still, pretty even laning phase. I just think the biggest concern for me is looking at Dendi right now and saying, what hero actually stops Dendi outside of like the Axe having a blink? Because the only other way to kill him is Limp hit 6, he has somebody else teleport to his lane, and they coil Dendi under the tower and they try to dive him. Like, that's the only way he dies right now. And I think that having him just in his free farm situation, and also having your top lane kind of lose, that's a little bit concerning.
And we'll see how it all kind of pans out as we're ready to get ourselves back on with this one. And we're seeing Earthshaker moving towards the mid lane, maybe thinking if he can try and do something against him, but it's going to be a little bit too tricky. And the wards indeed from NIP will spot out any kind of movement from this top lane from Na'Vi. So it's going to be hard to catch out Limp, and it's going to give him the space. And so far, 7-3, still losing out against the Dendi SF though, sitting on 11-6 at the moment. He's doing very well against the puck.
And once you get to this point, any mid laner just starts losing. It doesn't really matter how good you are. You just simply can't outlast hit the hero who hits for like what, 20 more base damage at this point. And it's only going to get worse too. That's the other thing. The Shadow Fiends on Radiant side in general have a tendency to just push the wave out no matter what, especially once you get to like 5 and 7, just to ensure that you can either stack the jungle for yourself or you don't put yourself in a position where you can easily be ganked. And since Nip are doing a 2-1-2, anytime a hero goes missing, it's much more obvious. Like, you can just notice, oh, well, one support is missing from this lane. They're probably wrapping around on me. I'll just play safe.
And there's going to be a charge onto Limps. We also see Seneka down the high ground waiting to go in with a Fisher, but the charge is going to be cancelled, and I think they realise that Limp, he knows what's going on here. He saw the movement from the top lane thanks to the Warden. It's
Even just
impossible to catch out.
Even just that pressure, though, like the fact that he has to sit back and watch Dendi farm, like that's painful. You don't want that to happen. And Limp is a very, very good puck player, so the faster he gets to his dagger, the better off Nip are going to be.
I mean, farm-wise for the two position ones, we're seeing both Era and Havorst on a similar level of farm, 20 CS at the moment. So they're finding that the space that they kind of need. And I guess it's kind of a question on who can do more. Where we're talking about doing something mid lane. NLP, they're looking for a rotation onto Dendi with Silky just walking in with the cast. There'll be a TP reaction from Seneko. Na'Vi, they turn it though, and Dendi will find first blood there, taking down Silky on the Witch Doctor.
Very nice reaction coming in from the Shaker, planting that fissure right where he needed it. Hanskin is kind of in no man's land right now too. Dendi picking up a DD.
He wants the kill. He's not quite going to be able to find it. Denny's able to bottle up, and now Hanskin coming in. Can they do anything here? Limp's out of mana. They can't go forward. The tombstone's being dropped, but Denny will just turn around, disperse off the zombies, and Na'Vi, they actually find themselves a second kill as they come in with a rotation. 2 for 0 and Funny. Same time, finding a couple of bashes onto Era. But Na'Vi, it's a nice lead for them to have 4.5 minutes in, and NIP just giving away 2 kills that they're pretty painful, losing the puck as well for a good amount of time. Bottom lane, he charges and he's not going to follow out through, looking for the bashes. He's going to let Era live today. Funny.
That's not the kind of start you want for Nip. I mean, losing the first blood, that was already bad enough, but you lose a secondary hero because Hanskin was in the river. I think they were probably just trying to go for the rune, and unfortunately, since Dendi got it, they didn't manage to kill him with the orb damage. All of a sudden, the fight was just like a total disaster at that point. And then you see like Era even getting moderately zoned by the Spirit Breaker, who was in a 1v2 for a very long time. Like, Funnick doesn't really need farm in this lane. Just getting 6 is enough, because he can hold down anyone for like 3 or 4 seconds once he gets his ultimate, and that can just result in a straight-up kill. So I definitely think that Na'Vi are getting quite a bit out of this early game.
Seneka is going to make a movement here down towards the bottom lane.
Funnick?
Maybe he wants to wrap round towards the mid lane.
He's okay.
Funny just charging away there. He's not going to follow for all the Fisher. The raise is bringing Limp low. He's going to be able to bottle himself back up. And it looks like he will be fine here for the time being in the mid lane.
Dendi's going to hit level 7 soon, and that just means double raise, creep wave dead, can stack the jungle if you want. You can go for... I don't even think Yule's build is that bad this game. Or you could go for mech as well. That's the other like go-to.
Silky's found Seneko, and he's going to have backup as well as Limbs coming through the drop. The Dream Core, but Seneko is going to go for the TP with the Maledict. Is it going to be enough damage? It is! And they do manage to find a kill there, bringing down the Earthshaker.
That almost looked like he was going to get out. And then it would have been like, oh dear, that would not have been the start. But they get themselves on the board. Very nice pick off there. They did have to expend Coil for it though, which means that Dendi's going to be safe just a little bit longer here in this early game. And the longer time passes, the more and more farm he gets. Fortunately for Nip, Era's managed to maintain a very good level of farm as well. And top lane, we can see them chasing in.
Yeah, Jonathan Fan moving in. He wants to find a Force, and he'll get him here with the Taunt. There's going to be the call feed thrown down to Jonathan Fan. It doesn't matter. They bring down her Force, and now Jonathan Fan will he live through this one? Allstar's trying to find it, but he's not going to be able to do it. Hanskin looking for the body blocks. Seneko's moved in as well. Finds the Fisher onto 2. Jonathan Fan will be able to get himself out, and it will just be her Force dying there. But again, bringing it for 2 for 2. They nearly find Funnick as well. Funnick will charge away and will escape there on the bottom lane. But bringing it even now on the map, 2 for 2, NIP and Na'Vi.
Any kill that Nip can get right now is huge, especially in this safe lane. where they've been getting their farm restricted so heavily that Jonas and Fan right now, he's only sitting on Tranks at 700. They're going for him though.
Yeah, Seneca wants to find something this time. He will find the Fisher that will block him off. Cold Feet, the Lightning Storm come down. They'll bring down Jonas and Van. They're looking for Hansken as well. He's trying to run. He's got the backup of Era who's rotated in. He's got an Omni Slash, doesn't want to use it, and it's going to be a Horst getting a double kill there. And, well, he's going to be happy with that one after being taken down by the side of NIP, returning to lane and picking up 2 kills for himself.
The Blink Dagger is so important for Axe. Like right now, he had to buy Circlet and 2 branches just to be able to finish up his Magic Wand because he knew that he was going to lose gold anyway. So that puts him farther and farther away from that Blink Dagger timing, which he is going to desperately need for this mid game if he wants to have any sort of an impact. And Puck is kind of in the same boat. Like Limp, it's 8 minutes in. He's working his way towards what I imagine are treads, but he buys the robe instead because it's the stat piece that gives him extra damage. But not having these blinks, like that gives Na'Vi a lot of freedom to be able to just run around the map and continue farming on their cores.
Sorin, well, Voss is going to give a couple of punches to Lim. Hansken's moving in to drop the Dream Call, the Tombstone of Voss. It's a trap! He's going to get the split off onto Sealkid. It doesn't matter. He loses his life there as Lim's able to take the kill, and it's going to go towards his little fun to create that Blink Dagger. But, well, Voss just kind of getting baited out and caught out there by the 3-man of Nip.
Those kills are godsends, though, for Lim. Like, he needs those desperately at this point. It's not that he's farming, like, bad or anything. It's just, if you compare it to what Dendy's doing, I mean, he got First Blood, and he's got 61 CS. Of course, it's a Shadow Fiend, but he's going to have his mech, which he is making his way towards, probably before Limp even has, like, half of his Blink gold. And they really, really want to dive our
Yeah, look at this top lane. They're diving right past the tower here, trying to find the AA. Era's got an Omni Slash here. At the same time, there's a dive going on bottom. They'll use the Omni Slash top. They find the kill onto AA. The bottom lane, there's a fight going on. Split out onto Jonas and Fan. They're trying to find him. The paralyzing cast bouncing between Snako. What can they do here? They found the corner to Snako. Maybe they can find his kill. He's going to look for the TP out. They've got enough damage. The dunk's going to be there from Jonas and Fan. And they'll find the Earthshaker.
That's 2 times that Sonico is like 0.2 seconds away from teleporting out and just dies. First time it was to a Maledict and a Waning Rift, that time it was to a Dunk. Dendy though, he's got a DD, he's applying some pressure here to this tier 1 mid. They have Glyph available, and Limp is going to have Coil and about 10, so he does need to be a bit careful about how he goes about this, but... Oh, bottom lane, Jonas and Fan could be dropping here.
He's getting low, ticking down his Ice Blast. I think that's going to be enough, it should be, and it is indeed. Artstar manages to pop the axe, and well, that's not a kill you want to be giving away, especially when you're trying to work towards that Blink mid lane. Dendy, I mean, you're talking about his farm, top of the net worth at the moment, coming up to 5k in terms of total value, but Era, he gets himself in, and Limp's actually able to get the deny on the tower. There's going to be a charge, they're going to cancel it here. They don't want to go too ham, and the double damage rune, of course, just about to wear off here on Dendy.
Yeah, he still had spin. I think if Era didn't have spin mana, they could have pursued that, but... Oh, never mind, Phonic didn't have ulti. Okay, that would have been a foolish ploy, even without mana. I thought he might have had another strike up, but not having it means no go. But Dendy getting closer and closer to his mech. Once he has it, I think they can just take the tier 1s with ease. Like Nip, again, the Blink Dagger timing's so crucial. Like they need them, like now, ideally, is when you would want them, because that's like the normal fast Blink timings, right? Anywhere from 9 to 10, maybe even 11 minutes.
There's going to be an Ice Blast. Will it connect? It will indeed. The Nether Strike's there with the bashes. 17% holding it in place. There'll be a TP coming in from Hansken. He's trying to turn this one around, but Phonic just charges past him, looking for the gold, looking for the glory. He'll bring down Era. They lose the Undying here as well. And now Jonas and Fan turning up, gets this one onto Snako. Sealkid's there as well. Drops the Maledict down as the Earthshaker. Snako's trying to do this out, but Dendy gets himself a double kill. Looks for the Requiem. He's not going to pop it. Realizes that Snako's a dead one. He tries to get himself out. Now the Dream Core's being dropped by Limp, but they can't chase this one down. Dendy will just take the stun to the face, walk himself back, and that will be 3 for 1 there for the side of Na'Vi.
It wasn't so bad for Nip though. They do get some extra money on Jonas and Fan. Like he's at 1400 gold now. He only needs around 800 more, a little bit less, to be able to secure that Blink. And when he does, that's when Nip are going to start being able to really make things happen. The timing is really important though for Dendy's mech on top of this. I think he has the recipe right now. He just needs the courier to be able to go up and pick it up. The difference between having the mech for a Blink initiation and not having it is also very important for Na'Vi. They're going to find Jonas and Fan.
This is a big kill if they can find it with the raises, the punches, the bashes from Phonic. They'll bring down Jonas and Fan. And once again, this Blink Dagger being delayed for the axe, which is, as you were saying, incredibly costly for NIP.
I think just the early game itself has already secured Na'Vi so much room to be able to fight in this game. Like, they'll have the tier 1s most likely dead before either of the initiation heroes on Nip are able to get to their Blink Daggers. Like, Limp is still only sitting on 600 gold. Now, bear in mind, if Na'Vi start making mistakes and heroes get picked off, that gold swing is still going to be pretty big. So you could see a Blink Dagger come out even from a bad early game just on the back of 1 or 2 bad engagements. So it's not as if Nip are really in too horrible of shape at this point, but man, Na'Vi, they want this.
They want it, and they're going to go for it. Straight to Silkid. The Ice Blast is actually going to connect after the bashes onto Silkid, bring him into it. They're trying to find him, but he's still going to live through it. And now the TP's coming in from NIP. They want to turn this round. Dreamcoil onto Soneko. They'll turn the Earthshaker. They'll find a kill there. And Na'Vi, they get nothing out of that little bit of aggression.
Yeah, I think Dendi just decided, like, halfway through that, he's like, nah, this isn't a great idea. I'm just bailing. Because he was already halfway mid by the time they lost their first hero. But now it looks like Nip, for the first time, they want to have a bit of their own aggression being applied to the side of Na'Vi. They're going to push into the tier 1 top, while Dendi is kind of... You don't really hear the term split pushing mid a whole lot, but that's pretty much what he's doing.
There's going to be TPs coming into the top. Soneko, not quite hit 6 yet, doesn't have the Echo Slam. He's got the Fisher and the Ice Blast connecting onto all 4 of them there. And that is going to be able to stop the aggression and push them back for a bit. Jonas and Fanny's looking for Dendi, finds the call. There's a few creeps there. He's getting the spins, but Dendi will pop the mech. Now turning around with a few raises, bringing Jonas and Fan low. There's going to be a charge across the map from Funnick now. Does he go for this one? He hasn't got the Nether Strike, and it might be a little bit too deep, and it is indeed. Funnick will cancel that. But I mean, Jonas and Fan, he's got to be careful. We've seen him, he's trying to get this Blink Dagger in terms of funds. How are we actually doing on the Axe? Is he closing in on the 2K? He's getting there. Coming up to 1700. He's got to be very careful that he doesn't drop again now on this road.
The kills that he's gotten in this game have kept him afloat. Like, without those handful of kills that he got on the Earthshaker, for example, like, I think Sonica right now is 0 and 4. Yeah, he's died a handful of times, but without that, Jonas and Fan's game would have been so much worse. So it's very fortunate that he's been able to put himself in those positions to be able to secure some kills with that ulti. Oh, Jonas and Fan.
Oh, there's the bashes, the Nether Strike as well. There'll be a TP coming in and an Ice Blast flying through. Jonas and Fan trying to juke it out, but the Ice Blast will pass over. The debuff connects and will tick him over the edge, bringing down the Axe. And, well, we're talking about painful deaths, and again, knocking him back from this Blink Dagger. It's not going to be great. Fisher onto Era, now with the charge. Maybe Na'Vi can look for some more action. They're sending TPs up. Dendi's joining the fray as well, and Era, well, he's got to get himself out here. He's starting to run. And it looks like Na'Vi won't chase, at least. Funnick's still charging through. Is he going to follow this one out? It looks like he is. He's going the whole hog onto Era and looking for maybe some action, but no, Hanskin is going to scare him off with the old decay. And still, well, at the moment, 10-7 between the sides, and AA's got the Midas now.
The fact that Artstyle has his Midas and there's no blinks yet, I mean, I know I keep coming back to the same thing, but it really is, like, they absolutely need those items. Without them, their initiation potential and their way to take fights is just non-existent. They have to let Na'Vi walk into you, which, as many teams have experienced, you don't want to really let Na'Vi play their own game if you can absolutely help it, and that's kind of what they have to do right now.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Dendi's farm, look at his net worth. 8.2k. Highest on the side of NIP is Era on 4 points. That's a massive difference. 15 minutes into the game, and they might lose Lonus and Fanny as well. He's going to pop the Echo Slam Soneko, which will allow Dendi just turn around, give him a punch, bring him down. Silky's going to throw out the cost. Maybe they can find something in return here. They're going in onto Dendi. Ice Blast is going to fly through. Will connect on the Witch Dogs. He's popped down the Death Ward. It's enough damage. They brought down AA. They might find Dendi here as well, as Era's turned up here with the spins. Will get himself a double kill, and now they're going to look for more. Soneko's going to look to TP out. Have they got the damage? No, this time Soneko will escape, but it's still a double kill for Era. And something that NIP in the situation they really needed that, and now we do have to blink online for Limp.
Those kills were huge. I think Dendi probably could have just walked away. Maybe he overestimated his own tankiness. Charge here on the Hanskin.
Yeah, Funnick's going on Hanskin. Era's going on to a Force. They'll lose Hanskin. Now Limp's turning up. He's going to look for this one, and they'll find a Force. They might even find Funnick as well, chasing this one down. He's got nowhere to run. He's got nowhere to hide. He's got the stick charges to pop. Era's trying to chase it, and now Funnick. The best defense is the offense. It doesn't work this time, though. They lose the Spirit Breaker as well. The Ice Blast won't connect as Limp just casually blinks himself back to the base. But again, these are massive kills for NIP.
That was a huge gold swing. Like, Limp went from having nothing like 2 or 3 minutes ago to I now have a Blink Dagger and 800 gold. But that's what I was talking about. It doesn't really take much more than Na'Vi overextending maybe 1 or 2 times, and then all of a sudden you get your blinks going. Era starts to get more farm. He's making his way towards Yasha right now. It's a pretty old school build that he's doing, but no Mask of Madness, just going to go for the drum straight into the SOI, I would imagine. And after that, I mean, fighting in the late game against Shadow Fiend, Juggernaut's great, because you can just Omni Slash at any point, and it's very hard for the Shadow Fiend to deal with that particular ulti, so they do have their tools as the game kind of stretches on to be able to deal with the cores of Na'Vi. However, Na'Vi still are leading by a bit. Yes. It's going to take like maybe 1 more of those fights, and I think that Nip will be back on even ground.
And, well, we can see from the board at the moment, it's about a 4,000 net worth advantage for the side of Na'Vi. XP not so much, just under 2k. There's still the potential for NIP to swing this one back in their favour. And Jonathan Fan, how's he doing with the Blink Dagger? How are we seeing him do now? He's getting
200 away.
He's very close.
Yep.
And if they can get this online before the next fight, it's going to be a very, 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 very good looking fight for NIP if they can get the jumps.
They have a lot of squishy heroes on Na'Vi. Like, we just even saw Shadow Fiend having the Ogre Club mech, even Aquila, 1400 health. He still died pretty easily, right? Like, he got Maledict cast on him, and then the Death War was dropped. He managed to kill Seal Kid and pop his mech, but after that, he still just couldn't live through the damage output. But maybe once he gets BKB, that'll be enough to keep him in fighting shape.
And there's your blink here for Axe. And look at the career out. They've got a smoke. Are we going to see any kind of action coming out from NIP with this item pickup? And indeed we are. NIP realise this is a perfect time to get the jump. Dendy, quite handily for the side of Na'Vi, has just picked up his BKB though. And of course the side of NIP might not quite realise this. And Na'Vi themselves, they want to fight. They want to fight. They want to go for
find one.
Smoke on smoke. Who's going to get the jump here? Limp's leading on the front lines. He knows the force there. As the splitter comes out, there can be the charge onto Limit, and the bashes are there, controlling the puck. Now they're trying to turn this one around. Jonas and Van getting the call onto a force. Funny's going to drop with the Omni Slash coming from Vera. They'll lose a force as well. It's going to be a 2-4. Nice pass comes through. Era trying to spin themselves out. Looks like NIP want to kind of disengage for the time being. Dendy has used the BKB. Maybe NIP can go back into this one. Limp moving forward. Is he going to blink into this one? They don't have. They've already used all the ults. Fisher will come out, and that looks like it will be that. But NIP getting the edge there with the Omni Slash and with the jumps in from NIP.
Yeah, Jonas is in a really nice position. As soon as Dendy BKB'd, I think he caught the Leshrac and Shadow Fiend in the same call. So the Shadow Fiend wasn't able to cast his Requiem throughout that entire team fight, and they kill two heroes pretty much before the taunt even ends. So at that point, it's already, as soon as the BKB wears off on Shadow Fiend, Na'Vi are forced to run. Really nice engagement coming out from NIP. Even with the loss of their axe, more than worth it.
Indeed, well, 19 minutes in still. Dendy sitting at the top of the net worth, but the fact that after that, the two next heroes, both on the side of NIP, Limp and Era at the moment. Dendy just looking up to clear some Ancients, keeping himself up there. He's got the BKB in now. After the BKB, what do you reckon we can expect to see Dendy to look towards?
I don't know if tanking up a whole bunch is really the call here. A lot of Shadow Fiends will go for like SNY or Scotty, something like that. You also have like Butterfly Lifesteal route. I think Scotty isn't too bad against these melee heroes, for example. Like, it's really good for kiting like Axe and Undying and Juggernaut. That's what leads me to think that Scotty is like the most go-to choice. But it's a lot of gold for an item that doesn't really give you a ton of damage output. So we're kind of hoping that the AA and Leshrac can kind of salvage the DPS loss from that build, but I still think it's a very good option.
Looks like NIP, they want to find some action. They're heading towards the top lane. Funnick, he was on his own, but he's going to come out with this creep wave, and he needs to be careful. NIP, they've got this lane ward down. They know that he was coming out there. And he backs up. He's going to keep himself safe, and it looks like NIP won't find anything in that region as Funnick keeps himself close to that tier 1. Falling to the 20 minutes. I mean, at this spot, do NIP need to continue to look for the fights in your eyes? They need to keep the aggression on if they want to kind of run the lineup, or are they kind of safe to hang back here?
I think the heroes that fall off on their team pretty much are only the Undying.
Oh, Funnick, he's all alone. He's all alone. They don't know the smoke is coming through. NIP. He's going to make the jump. Funnick trying to hide in the trees. Now Vorce, down Snako coming in, but Vorce is going to walk right into the three of them. Tombstone's going to get dropped, and NIP they're ready to fight. Limp's going to get bashed up here by Funnick as he charges straight through onto the zombie, onto the Undying. Vorce doing a lot of damage, but the Omni Slash from Era doing more. They're actually going to lose the puck here. Jonas and fans found the call onto Snako, but they're finding by the Tombstone. Dendy, he's been able to take down the Tombstone, and now it's Na'Vi coming out on top with a double kill for Dendy. Handscam will be able to TP out from the tree line. So will Silky. No! The bashes are there. The Fisher comes through, so Snako. 3 heroes to drop on NIP, and Na'Vi, they were ready for that one, taking a massive swing against NIP.
Havos just seems to always find himself in the worst possible situations in this game. I don't know what it is, but he always seems to be on the wrong side of an Omni Slash or just between a couple of heroes and NIP and ends up dropping. Fortunately for him, that time, it was a favorable trade, so he didn't give away his life for nothing. And he ends up only 2 Bloodstone charges down instead of 3, because I think he got credit for 1 before he went down. Or somebody died in the area, one or the other. But still, Na'Vi looking pretty good here. Still kind of wondering what Dendy's item choice. Oh, he actually bought something. What did he buy? Okay, he bought a Blink. Alright, typical Dendy. This is also a very good choice if you have a lot of stuns on your team. Like, you have the Spirit Breaker can go in, charge, ulti, you can blink in Requiem on top of it. It's pretty much a guaranteed kill on anyone. And Shaker is pretty much the same. So he's going for more of the Wombo combo build. He's not looking to tank up, he's just looking to fight. And Blink also is still a decent farming item if you use it for like blinking around the jungle, you know, keeping yourself safe and split pushing. A very nice all-around choice.
Blink Dagger has now been picked up by Seneko as well on the Earthshaker.
Yep.
So, pretty big stuff. NIP, they're looking for that BKB. Well, NIP, Jonas fan looks like he might drop here, and he will do indeed as the Ice Blast, the Nether Strike come through. More than enough damage to bring down the Axe. And Funnick so far, I've got to be honest, he's been creating a lot of trouble and a lot of problems for NIP in these fights.
Yeah, he wasn't as active as I thought he would be during the early game, though, because I was looking at their lanes and I'm like, heck, even a charge on a puck can make a pretty big difference. You make him waste his phase shift, you let Dendi get a range to raise, you might be able to go for kills, you charge top, and I mean, there's only one disable between the two of those heroes, so you could just easily dive. But he favored getting level 6 over trying to gank, which I think, given the fact that Nip did a 2-1-2, made sense, like logically getting that EXP. Might have to hold that thought though, Funnick.
Yeah, they want to do something about this. Look at the vision, but he's able to get the charge up with the paralyzing cast because Roos holding him in position. He's going to look to TP out for this one, but they're there for everything.
Wow.
The Dream Coil, they want Funnick dead, and they'll get it bottom lane. There's a bit of a fight going on between Aaron and Seneko. He's looking for the damage here with the Blade Fury. Can he finish this one off? No, because, Jonas fan coming in, tries to look for the top, but he'll find the dunk. It doesn't matter. They take down 2 there, 2 for nothing for the side of NIP, and Jonas fan just turning up in the nick of time there to help out Era.
Those dunks, it seems like every time he gets picked off, he manages to get a counter kill. Like, regardless of whether it's before he dies or after he dies, he seems to immediately be able to find something after the fact, which is great for him. He's managed to keep himself afloat in this game, but still only a 2-kill lead for the side of Na'Vi. Dendi up here with a double damage, potentially looking to try to make something happen, but I don't really know if it's that great of an idea, considering the fact that Juggernaut has Omni Slash. That's one of the downsides, I think, to the build that Dendi is going for, is you're not really that gigantic right-click threat with a Blink Dagger, a mech, and a BKB. It's more like, in the team fights, my Requiem will usually be useful because I can put myself in a great position to use it. But if I blink and I mess up, I put myself in a spot where Omni Slash could just kill me, like just straight up, and then I might not get any help from my team to be able to soak the damage. So that's one concern that you will have going on into this game if you're Dendi.
I mean, certain things are looking very good for Na'Vi. The fact that Dendi's still farming like an absolute madman. If we have a look on the old AA, how's he doing towards that Aghanims? He was closing in the art style. He's always got 2 components, and he's got enough to pick the 3rd. So we are going to see the Aghanims online almost certainly before that 30-minute mark, and that's going to make it very hard for NIP to fight into them.
Yeah, that item is like a game ruiner for a push. It's like you just get a couple of people clipped by that, and all of a sudden, well, I guess we have to wait, or at least go back to base with 1 or 2 heroes. They do have Healing Ward, though. So the play around for Nip is don't drop the Healing Ward until after the AA Blast comes out. So that way we can make sure we fully utilize the ward in itself, and if we want to try to go for Roshan or something like that, you can also just like solo smoke the Juggernaut and try to do it that way. But with Era having gone the route of BKB, he's not going to kill Roshan that fast. He can still solo it, but it's going to be pretty obvious if he's just gone off the map for a long period of time. And Na'Vi doing some dewarding here. Fight could break out.
Lead on the high ground, maybe looking to fight NIP. Can they get a jump onto this Na'Vi? They're heading into the Roche Pit, maybe thinking about it, but the orb will come through. Let's scout some of them out. Now it's actually going to be Na'Vi jumping straight in with a charge onto Hansken. Dendi with the damage onto the Witch Doctor will bring him down. Pops the BKB and continues to fight. Now he just turns towards Hansken with the punches and graces. This is a double kill for Dendi. And can they find anything more here? Era's been clipped by the Ice Blast. He's going to have to back out with Limp. And Na'Vi just getting the superior jump onto NIP there. There's going to be a charge to Jonas and the Fish just stopping the TP. What a play from Na'Vi. They're going to look to clean this one up as well. With the bashes, the cold feet, everything coming down. There's nothing that NIP can do to stop it as Na'Vi take a 3rd kill. And now they've got the opening to go for Roshan as well, Draskell.
They do resurrect pretty quickly, though. The only person who won't be able to defend this from Nip is going to be Jonas and Fan. But I guess maybe they're looking for some counter push. Nice Yules coming out here from Lim, stopping the charge of Funnick.
Indeed, and it's a good job it did because the Ice Blast was on point. Could have been a bit of a tricky situation there for Limp and Na'Vi, bringing Roshan down to half health. The pings are coming out. They don't have this axe, of course, for 23 seconds, and he is pretty much the big initiator error. He does find himself a cheeky little kill there, picks off the Earthshaker on the sidelines, but still the action at the pit. Na'Vi, they will find it. There's not going to be a steal today. The all coming through, the tombstone being dropped, but it's just a little bit too late for NIP to jump into.
Are they going to be able to catch out this Ancient Apparition, or are they just not going to chase?
It's going to be a hard fight because Na'Vi, they're waiting, and they don't have the axe. Axe is back up now, and maybe we'll start to see NIP return to their aggressive form. But 21-17, Na'Vi with the edge. Now the fact that they've got that Aegis on Havorst, it's going to be a hard fight for NIP.
Not only just the Aegis, but right now Arsart is 50 gold away from having his... Oh no, he sells a TP. Okay, so now he has Aghanims completed. He just needs to send the courier out to the secret shop. That item completion makes Nip going high ground just an absolute nightmare. And I say high ground, but let's be honest, now they've only lost one tier 1 tower at this point. Nip have lost all of their tier 1s. They lost Roshan, and they lost the fight before Roshan even happened.
That's just completed Skadi on Dendi now.
Yeah. Casual entire Skadi.
Seneca indeed jumping forward. There's going to be the charge as well. Hansken, he's got nowhere to run. He will get taken down there. And now Na'Vi. What's the plan here? They're going to let's continue to push. I mean, at this point, they might as well, because it's going to be very hard for NIP to stop it.
I actually think Dendi might be a little bit too tanky at this point. He has 27 armor with a Vlad Zora, and he has 2300 health on Agi Treads with the BKB. Even a full Omni Slash from Era doesn't kill that. Like, they need to be able to have multiple heroes jump on Dendi with no outside help to be able to kill him. That's a problem. Like, how do they actually get enough damage out in that period of time and a 5 versus 5 to kill Dendi?
Indeed, that's the question. Well, Haystream is going to be bottled up, and well, that's going to be snagged straight away by Dendi. Can they look for any kind of play with this? I don't know if they're going to look for it for the time being. More content with NIP kind of walking towards them. Smokes are being picked up, so maybe we will see a team look for an opening and look to get a jump. And I mean, at this point, NIP, they need to get a very, very, very big jump on Na'Vi to catch them off guard, because Na'Vi, they've got the tools to fight back every time.
Even if they catch out Dendi solo, if he has a good BKB reaction, he could probably get away from almost anything that they throw at him. Like, there would need to be a death ward into a call. Like, they would also have to save the call to cancel a TP from the BKB. Like, there's so many like factors that they have to keep in mind if they're trying to take out that particular hero. They probably just avoid him at this point, because if you look at the net worth, like, Dendi's sitting at 17.3k, Era's under 12. So there's like a 5,000 net worth discrepancy. That's pretty much the entirety of the Skadi that Dendi bought, right? Like a 600 or 700 gold difference off an entire item. Like, that's the problem, is like Era just doesn't have the farm, and he had to make BKB. So with BKB, he's not increasing his farm rate at all. Like, he went for the Yasha, he went for the drums. I think those items are fine. The BKB says to me, he's really concerned that he's not going to be able to deal any damage outside of spin and ulti because of the magic damage output of Alesh. And that part also logically makes sense, but it's not like we saw in the first game where Sing Sing was playing AM. He doesn't have another farming item. So buying a BKB actually stunts his farm significantly, and if he can't use it to fight, then the BKB doesn't do anything. So I'm worried that Nip might not be able to recover fast enough with the Shadow Fiend's level of farm.
Nip are going to have to do something here as Na'Vi, they're ready to try and break the high ground. Onto the tier 3 they go. Havorst, of course, still with that Aegis. He's ready for round 2 if it's necessary. And well, let's see. What can NIP do to stop this? Dendi pummeling away at the tower. It's getting low. It's almost certainly going to drop. The cast comes out, but Dendi just blinks it back, plays it cool. And now have exposed Rax. NIP, they need something big. They don't have Jonas and Fan here. I assume he does have a TP at the moment. Axe at the moment on the bottom lane. He doesn't. So, okay, no, he's just TP back to the base, but it's already started as Na'Vi, Esoneko going in. There's going to be the Dream Call coming out in return. They've actually brought down the Earthshaker. Now Jonas and Fan will find a call onto Dendi and Havorst, and here's your death ward, but as you said, Dendi's just taking no damage at all. They can't do anything against the SF. He takes down Jonas and Fan. Era coming through the Omni Slash to bring him low. This is going to be big, and they do get the kill onto Shadow Fiend. That's a massive kill for NIP, and they might be able to find Havorst here as well. They're going to lose Hansken. Phonic and Artstyle still up. It's a hard fight for NIP. Era's all on his own. There's going to be a Fisher coming out. They'll bring down the Juggernaut as well. Everyone's going to die. There'll be a buyback from Hansken. It's a dieback. They'll lose the top racks here. And NIP, even though they get Dendi, there's a whole of the rest of the team for them to worry about, and it's just too much for them. Era, he's looking for Seneca here with the Blade Fury. Can he go for this one? Limp blinking forward. He might be able to find Artstyle, but no, the Urn keeping Artstyle alive. Artstyle's going to be fine. Seneca's going to be held in place by the Yules. Era moving in close and personal. Will find the crit there. Brings down the Earthshaker. They do manage to hold back the aggression, but that was a massive fight for Na'Vi, taking the racks as well. A very painful for NIP situation for NIP to be in.
It was a devastating fight. Like, they had again. They went back on Limp and Era, and they barely forced Na'Vi outside of the base after having already lost their entire set of top racks. You saw how long it took for them to kill Dendi and what they actually had to do to kill him. He ate a fully channeled Death Ward, a full Omni, and still wasn't dead. Like, they needed to do more. He landed like a last hit crit, I think, after the Omni ended to make sure that he went down. And that was after Limp already threw himself into the fight to try to kill with an orb and I think a Waning Rift. But either way, Na'Vi in a very dominant position at this point. All of their heroes, net worth-wise, are starting to climb up over the side of NiP. That particular fight means that NiP now feel the need to smoke up. They're trying to find something, anything, after that kind of fight, because if you don't, it's too hard of a hit. Like, you can't just take that and not get anything back.
I'll tell you what, it's a pickup that I feel like we don't see every day. Funnick, he's got enough, and he's just brought it up. A completed Aghanims now in the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad item, because so many people on the side of NiP are melee. So you have, like, Axe, Undying Ult, Witch Doctor just casually gets picked off in the top lane by Sonico. Drops an Echo for that one, but still, kill is a kill. But they have a lot of melee, so that ulti being AoE can actually be fairly useful in some of these engagements.
And look at the net worth at this point, 20,000 favouring Na'Vi, and it's coming up to 14k in terms of XP as well. Era's managed to find the Demon Edge, but they've got to look for, they've got to hope for an absolute spectre. They've got to hit everything basically to take Na'Vi down at this point, because Na'Vi looking incredibly scary. And Dendi is working towards that AC, and he might very well have that as well for the next push. And with an AC on the Shadow Fiend as well, I don't think you're killing that guy anytime soon.
It's tough. It's a very, very tough situation. They did manage to do it once.
They might find Sneeko here, and they will indeed with the Waning Rift. The Blade Fury flying through as well. They're going to chase this one down. They should be able to find it. Fisher will buy him sometime. Maybe Sneeko can get himself out of this one. Ice Blast going to fly through. Will connect onto them. It's going to be phase shift dodged by Limp. It doesn't matter. They find the kill onto Earthshaker. Now with the charge, Funnick. He wants to maybe continue this one. He's got the Aghanims, but he doesn't want to go for it. Hasn't quite got the backup of the rest of his team. So NIP do get away with that one, taking a kill. And they want to look for something more here. Jonathan Fan leading the way. And we are unfortunately going to have a little bit of a pause here, and the question is oh okay, it's not ideal,
not ideal
I mean, yeah. But well, the question is, do NIP find anything here?
Well, I feel
they're out.
I think they're actually okay. Like, Havos is more than fine. Funnick has his charge up in 3 seconds. Jonathan Fan can blink call, but he's too far away. And his movement speed is also lower than Funnick's. So I don't know if they're going to be able to find anything kill-wise right now. They need to try to find a way to, like, bring themselves back either by Roshan or by, like, one really good smoke fight. And the problem is they need to not run into Dendi. Like, anybody else is fine. But if they run into Dendi, he actually just takes so long to kill that with all their towers being alive, except for the bottom tier 1 for Na'Vi, there's probably ample time for them to react to it just by TPs and walking there, you know? Like, he's actually just so hard to kill that if you find him with a smoke, you probably should just run, even if he's alone. Unless you think you can kill him so fast that, okay, we can run in and get out. Because a lot of the times what happens is, you'll find a core that's worth a lot of money, but the time investment that it takes is too long, and then you end up giving away like 2 or 3 kills because the other team reacts, and that's probably what would go down if they found him. But if they can catch out, like, even Funnick is less tanky than Dendi right now, and he's sitting on 2200 health. The Shaker is good. You could probably kill Havos because he only has 9 armor, so even though he has a lot of health, he takes a lot of physical damage.
So, I mean, it kind of feels as well, Havos hasn't really had to do that much this game as well, but he's still sitting, he's the second in the net worth board as well. I mean, this is going to be a big issue as well with the Lesh. I mean, in terms of BKBs, who's got one of them? I believe Jonas and Fan was working towards his on the Axe.
Yep.
Yes, he's still trying to look for that one, and it is just Era, of course, with the BKB, so everyone else on the side of NIP, they're not going to be having a lot of fun against the Lesh in these team fights.
No, definitely not. And I think that's why Era felt so pressured to buy that BKB, is outside of the spin and the Omni, you just take way too much damage from being in the area, and then you also have things like Ice Blast. So he needs to make sure that he's not in that situation where just the Ancient Apparition and the Leshrac kill him by just standing around. And that's kind of the lineup that Na'Vi have drafted for themselves. And we spoke about the AA during the draft, saying, when you get to this point, like Artstart's not even, or excuse me, Artstyle is not even level 16. So if he gets level 16, that ulti becomes even more potent than it already is. The shadow range increases, and you take a lot more damage because it's an Aghanims upgrade as well. But yeah, I don't know. This game is looking tough for NIP. Their go-to Hail Mary is like a smoke, and then maybe try to contest around the Roshan pit. Those are their options at this point.
I mean, do you feel as well, is there any kind of item pickup for Era that could kind of sway a massive advantage in these fights? Is he anywhere near anything? I mean, he's picked up an Octarine as well here on the Lesh, so big items coming out for Na'Vi, and it just feels for the side of NIP. Recently, we've not really seen any kind of massive kind of item pickups that are going to be able to change the fortune of these team fights.
It's just because when you're so far behind in gold, that you can never just say one item that's going to be like, oh yeah, this item means they win the game. Because they already have those core items up on their heroes anyway. We spoke at length about the importance of blinks. They got to that, and then it wasn't enough to give them a huge advantage in the game. So now that that kind of point is passed, they're still down like 15,000 golden experience. We're going to see a charge here onto Jonas and Fan, but it looks like Funnick.
Yep, they cancel the charge, but the Echo Slam and the Nether Strike follow through, and well, he's going to buy back straight away for this one. Jonas and Fan wants to make sure he's there for the defense, and Na'Vi will back themselves up. But I mean, we just saw them blow up an axe in a matter of milliseconds.
Yeah, well, the buyback just means that Na'Vi can go back and do whatever it is that they want. Roshan's up very soon. So if they want to contest around that, they know they have a huge advantage in terms of net worth. And fighting in the open pit is very difficult for Nip, although it might be one of the last shots they have. The one thing, too, that we haven't spoken much about before a fight potentially breaks out here is I really agree with Cinderin in prioritizing Seal Kid's farm more. Imagine if they had an Aghanim's Death Ward. Then maybe they'd have a shot. But right now, he's still very far from it. He might just die.
The Ice Blast is going to connect onto him, and Na'Vi, they want to fight. Funnick charging straight through with the Nether Strike, taking down the Witch Doctor. Era has got the Omni Slash, he's used it, but literally no one's taken any damage. They're going to be a very nice call from Jonas and Fan. They're going to try and do their best to turn this one. They have taken down 2, but Dendi, he's still sitting at max health thanks to the heal there from the Bloodstone, and Hansken will pop there. Seneko finds a double kill. It's going to end up being a 4-for-2 trade, and Dendi is literally untouchable.
Yeah, this is a problem. Dendi is farmed, guys. What do? I really do like the fact that he went for Blink, though. That item actually ended up netting him a handful of kills in the mid game, and kept applying the pressure to Nip, so that Era was never able to have like a consistent item progression. Na'Vi, just no matter what the situation, if they can play aggressive, they will. And that Blink purchase ended up doing a lot of work for them during this middle stages of the game. And Nip right now, they're kind of on their last leg at the moment, seeing if they can form some kind of defense here, but they don't have Coil. Omni Slash is on cooldown for about another minute. They will end up losing the middle racks.
Limp's going to jump forward here, and the Death Ward has been dropped as well, but Na'Vi, they just walk it off, and Funnick says, well, we're ready to fight, going straight in there with the charge of Silkid Fisher onto Limp. He'll be able to face shift himself and keep him back, but the racks, they've been taken down, and IP, they really want to catch someone out off the back of this. They're going forward, the cast bounces are there, but Danny now just pops the BKB, he's had enough, he wants to find some kills, blinks forward onto Silkid, takes down the Witch Doctor, Ice Blast on Terran Hansken, they get blown up, 4 heroes down at the moment, they're going to lose Limp here as well, there's nowhere for him to phase shift to, no buybacks available, and GG is called. Na'Vi take the best of 1.
I gotta say, Na'Vi played a spectacular game. Like, the one thing that concerned me from the get-go is just the fact that no one was touching Dendi in middle lane. Like, he was left there the entire time. He got to farm, builds his mech, and then he gets BKB. At that point in the game, it was already so hard to kill him that I'm not really sure what they could do. And then he gets the Blink Dagger, gives him more aggressive potential. They play off of that. Funnick got a nice couple of punch charges in. Even with Jonas and Fan finding some kills after he gets his Blink Dagger and Limp kind of following suit, it just was never enough. They could not compete with the farm of Pavost and Dendi in this game. They just couldn't.
No, absolutely not. It was